Hey guys, welcome to Simply Asked. What is a blockchain? And why, every time we hear that word, do we hear Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin? And vice versa. So, for the purpose of this video, just understand Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin are just currencies. You know, someone makes you a coffee or does a chore for you, you might give them some Bitcoin or a dollar or a currency. So, what is a blockchain? Well, let's kind of look at an analogy that explains it pretty well. So, let's start very, very basic. Let's say we want to start writing down a list of facts, right? An apple is red. Okay, we write that down. 2 plus 2 equals 4. We write that down. And George Washington was the first US president. We write that down. Okay. The sun is yellow. Oh. As you can see here, there's really no more room to write the sun is yellow. We've run out of room. So, doing what we figured out a long time ago with written works, we label this as fact sheet 1 and we introduce fact sheet number 2, and that's where we write the sun is yellow. And so you can see here, eventually we can have a very, very long line, fact sheet 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, of facts. We have a way to record all of these facts, no matter how many facts. Great. And then it would even be helpful as well for fact sheet number 2 to have a reference to fact sheet 1, because maybe there's a fact on fact sheet 1 that will be useful for fact sheet 2. So in fact sheet 1, we have 2 plus 2 equals 4, or result. And then in fact sheet 2, we're taking a look at fact sheet 1, we're getting 4, and we're saying 4 plus 7 equals 11. And so that linkage there is kind of what we mean by the term blockchain. It's just kind of like a link of chains, right? It's pretty self-explanatory, hopefully. But okay, so let's say we have 50 fact sheets. That's kind of a big problem now that they're sprawled all across our desk, managed horribly. So yes, the next logical step here would be to put these fact sheets into a book. Wonderful. So now we have a fact book containing all of our facts. Now, this is wonderful. However, there's a few problems here. One is I'm the only person writing these facts. 2, since I am the only person with these facts, everybody has to come to me. So let's look how we solve these problems. Well, here's the problem to only me having the book. Well, let's say there's several books out there, all with the same facts. And so, instead of having to come to me wherever I'm at, you can just go to wherever one else is. Like, let's say I'm in the United States and you're in Europe. Let's say I have this book right here and someone in Europe has this book right here. For you, luckily, you don't need to get on a plane or sail a boat to come to me to get your fact. You can just stay in Europe and get your fact. And so, yeah. So how do we solve the other problem? right? I'm still writing all these fact books, which is kind of a problem, which we'll get to in a second. But let's look at how we'll solve the initial problem of me maintaining all of these books. Maybe it's too much work for me. So, I'll introduce more people into the system, and we'll all be considered a group, and we all agree that all these books have the same facts, and these books are constantly evolving. They're not always the same. So I will write a fact down in my book and say to these guys, hey, write this fact down in your book as well. And then vice versa. Everybody will be doing that, and it'll constantly be evolving. So we now have this beautiful system where this book exists everywhere, and new facts can be added to it any time of the day. Cool. So that's a pretty cool system, but why do we have this fact book? Well, someone who isn't writing these facts might want to know the answer to one of them. Okay. So let's say this is you in this example. You have the question, what is 2 plus 2? So these individuals, or this group, publicizes themselves and says, hey, we're a group of fact book people. If you want a fact, come to one of us. We'll give you an answer. However, this takes time and energy for us to do, so we want to be compensated for it. And so you have your question, and you come along with a currency. In this case, Bitcoin, or a US dollar, or Dogecoin, Ethereum, what have you. But there's an underlying problem here, which is easily solved by this blindfold, is these guys all want to be paid equally. You know, it might become an issue for everybody else if this guy right here is getting all of the money, right? So they put a system in place that says, hey, you can come to any of us, but we'll give you a blindfold so that you randomly choose one of us. Cool. So you get blindfolded, you have your question, and you have your money. And they have their facts. So you're going to go to one of them. You're going to ask your question to them. They're going to say 4. The answer to 2 plus 2 is 4. Great. So you got your answer. You give him your money, and everybody's happy. And that's kind of it. That's kind of the blockchain. That's really all it is. Obviously, the systems in place are a lot more technical and complex, but this is kind of the gist of it. At its core, this is the concept. Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to speak on the core concept. Going into these next slides here, I'm kind of going to go into a few of the problems that core concept has and how most blockchains deal with it, right? I'm sure you've already thought of them as well. So what happens if you have your question and you go to a random person and they say the answer is 5? So 2 plus 2 equals 5. Well, geez, that's, aside from us knowing that's right now, like, let's say that's a far more complicated problem that we don't know, that it's not common sense to know. You know, like 512 times 247 billion, whatever the answer that is. You ask that question to him, he gives you that answer. It's wrong. Well, you're going to go around with that information using that as fact. And then all these fact books are going to get messed up. The world's going to be in chaos. So, why did he say 5? 1, he might just be ignorant. Maybe he truthfully believes 2 + 2 = 5. Or he did it for some other reason. Maybe he makes a monetary gain from doing that. Maybe that means he gets an extra $1 somewhere along the way. So, okay. How do we fix this problem? Well, this group is trustworthy. So one way to solve it, which most blockchains do, is instead of asking a single person in the group, you ask several people in the group what the answer to that question is. And so if they all give you 4, then the answer is 4. If 2/3 of them give you 4, most likely the answer is 4. Now, if they all give you 5, that's kind of a problem. You kind of don't want to you don't want to go to these group of people ever again. They're a chaotic group of people. And then the other solution here is just they all agree to just cut this guy out of the equation. Say, hey, he's not trustworthy anymore. We're not publicly going to say, hey, you can come to this dude. We might even say, do not let this dude in anywhere. He is not a good actor. He is not kind. So they'll cut him out entirely, and you just go to some other reputable source for your question. So that's pretty much it. Simply asked, what is a blockchain? Hopefully that makes it simple. Catch you in the next video. Have a good day.